The old woman saved a frozen wolf pup and its mother. Then the alpha returned for revenge. Continuation on previous story. To where? Eldrik called over the wind. Where they need us, she answered. He did not question it. They walked until the village lights faded behind them, until the land dipped, until the storm seemed to pull in tighter. Then, a sound. Faint. Strained. Eldrik froze. That's not a wolf, he said. Elowin moved faster. It doesn't need to be. They crested a small slope and saw it. A cart. Broken. Half buried in snow. One wheel snapped. Wood splintered. And beside it, two figures. A man and a young girl. The man struggled to keep her upright, shielding her from the storm with his own body. Help! He rasped. Eldrik rushed forward. Elowin followed. Inside, Eldrik said, pulling the man up. We can't move the cart, the man said weakly. You won't need it, Eldrik replied. The girl shivered violently, her lips pale, her eyes unfocused. Elowin knelt. Stay with me, she said softly. The girl blinked slowly. Cold, she whispered. I know, Elowin said. Then, the air shifted. Eldrik felt it this time, clear, immediate. They're here, he said. Elowin nodded. Shapes moved through the storm, silent, precise. The pack emerged, not rushing, not hunting, arriving. The silver wolf stepped forward first. Snow clung to its fur. Its eyes found Elowin instantly. We felt them. Elowin gave a small nod. They would not have made it, she said. The wolf looked at the man, at the girl, then turned slightly. The pack moved without a word. Two wolves took position ahead, breaking the wind. Another moved behind, shielding. The rest spread along the sides, a moving wall. Eldrik stared. They're guiding us. Elowin rose. Yes. He adjusted his hold on the man. Then we move. Step by step they followed. The wolves carved a path through the storm, not fighting it, shaping it. The wind lessened within their formation. The snow thinned just enough. The cold did not bite as deep. Eldrik felt it. This isn't normal, he said. Elowin glanced at him. It never was. The girl stirred slightly in his arms. Warm. She murmured. They reached the village faster than they should have. The gates opened quickly this time. No hesitation, no fear. The villagers saw the formation, understood without words. They stepped aside, made space. The man and girl were carried inside. The wolves stopped at the boundary, as before. No further. The silver wolf held Elowin's gaze. A quiet exchange passed between them. Then, the pack turned and disappeared once more into the storm. Inside, the fire roared. The girl was wrapped in blankets, given warmth, given breath. The man wept quietly. Thank you, he said to no one and everyone. Eldrik stood near the doorway, watching the snow fall beyond. They saved them, he said. Elowin joined him. They upheld the balance, she corrected. Eldrik looked at her. That's what this is now? Elowin nodded. Yes. He let out a slow breath. And us? Elowin's eyes stayed on the storm. We choose if we remain part of it. Morning came, clear, bright. The storm had passed. Tracks lay frozen across the snow. Human, wolf, side by side. Eldrik stepped out and followed them a short distance. Not far, just enough. Then he stopped, turned back. He understood now. Not fully, but enough. Back at her doorway, Elowin stood with her hands folded, watching, waiting. The world had not grown safer. It had grown honest. And in that honesty, something stronger had taken root. Not fear, not control. Balance, chosen, kept, shared. The thaw began slowly. Ice loosened its hold on stone. Snow sank into the earth. The moor breathed again. Water ran where it had not run in months. Life returned in small ways first. A bird call at dawn. Soft green beneath the frost. The sound of movement in the forest that no longer carried the same edge of fear. Eldrik noticed it before most. "They're still there," he said one morning, standing at the ridge. Elowen joined him. "Yes, but quieter. They have no reason to be loud." Eldrik nodded. "That means we've held our part." Elowen gave a faint glance. "For now." Days passed. Travelers returned. Careful at first, then more. Word had spread, not just of danger, of something else, something harder to name. The man and his daughter stayed longer than expected. The girl, Lisa, grew stronger each day. Color returned to her face. Her steps steadied. She followed Elowen often, watching, learning. "You talk to them," Lisa said one afternoon. Elowen looked down at her. "I listen," she replied. Lisa frowned. They listened back. Elowen allowed a small smile. "Yes." Lisa looked toward the tree line. "Will I hear them too?" Elowen's gaze softened. "If you learn how to be quiet enough." That evening, the wind carried a different sound. Not a call, not a warning, a disturbance. Eldrik felt it first. He stepped outside, hand on his blade. "They're moving fast," he said. Elowen followed. "Not hunting," she said. "Driving." "Driving what?" Elowen's eyes narrowed toward the forest. "Something that does not belong." The ground trembled faintly, not from the wolves, from something larger. Branches snapped in the distance, heavy, uncontrolled. Eldrik tightened his grip. "This isn't right?" Elowen nodded. "No." The first shape burst from the tree line, a stag. Massive, eyes wild. It ran without direction, without sense. Then another followed, and another, all fleeing, all driven. Then it came, behind them. Slow, deliberate. A creature that did not move like the others. Too large, too wrong. Its body twisted in unnatural ways. Its steps heavy, yet uneven. Eldrik stepped back. "What is that?" Elowen's voice dropped. "Something that stayed too long in the dark." The wolves appeared next. Not scattered, not hunting. Surrounding. Containing. The silver wolf led them, its presence steady, focused. They did not attack the creature. They guided it, forced it forward. Away from the forest, away from their land. The creature let out a low, broken sound. Not a roar. Something deeper. Distorted. Eldrik felt it in his chest. "This thing, it's not right." Elowen stepped forward slightly. "No, it's what happens when balance breaks too far." The wolves tightened their formation, each movement precise, each step controlled. They pushed the creature toward the open moor, away from the village. The silver wolf's eyes met Elowen's for a brief moment. A message passed. Clear. Hold. Elowen understood. She turned to Eldrik. "Keep everyone inside." "What about you?" Elowen did not hesitate. "I stand where I'm needed." She moved forward. Slow. Certain. Eldrik watched her go. Then turned and shouted toward the village. "Inside! Now!" Doors closed. Voices hushed. The world narrowed. Elowen walked out onto the open ground. The creature slowed, noticing her, its head twisted, eyes unfocused, yet aware. It stopped. The wolves held their positions, silent, waiting. The silver wolf stood opposite her. Between them, the creature. Elowen spoke, soft, steady. "You do not belong here." The creature shifted, its body trembling. A sound escaped it. Confused. Painful. Elowen took another step. "You've lost your place," she said. "But you still have a choice." The wind moved lightly across the moor. The creature's head tilted. For a moment, it stilled. The wolves did not move. The silver wolf watched closely. Elowen raised her hand slightly. "Go," she said. "Leave what you've become behind." The creature shuddered. In its form twisted again. Then, it turned. Slow, uncertain, but turning. Away from the village, away from the forest. The wolves shifted with it. Not chasing. Guiding. The silver wolf held its ground until the creature had moved far enough. Then it followed. The pack moved as one, pushing it farther, until distance swallowed them all. Silence returned. Eldrik stepped out slowly. "It's gone?" Elowen nodded. "For now." He looked at her. "What was it?" Elowen's eyes stayed on the horizon. "A reminder." "Of what?" Elowen turned slightly. "That balance is not kept once. It is kept again and again." Eldrik absorbed that. The village behind them began to stir. Doors opened. People stepped out. Careful. Curious. Alive. Elowen walked back slowly, her steps measured, her face calm. Lysa ran to her. "They stopped it," the girl said. Elowen placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "They guided it," she corrected. Lysa looked toward the distance. "Will it come back?" Elowen's voice stayed soft. "Only if something invites it." Lysa thought about that, then nodded. "I'll listen," she said. Elowen gave a small smile. "That's how it starts." The sun dipped lower, casting long light across the land. Eldrik stood beside Elowen once more. "I understand now," he said. Elowen glanced at him. "Say it." Eldrik took a breath. "We don't control it." "No." "We don't fight it unless we must." "No." "We live within it." Elowen nodded. "Yes." The wind moved gently through the grass. No longer harsh. No longer warning. Alive. And in that quiet, the balance held. Not perfect. Not permanent. But chosen. And kept. Spring did not settle cleanly. It hesitated. Warmth came, then pulled back. Light stretched longer across the land, yet something beneath it stayed unsettled. Elowen felt it in the quiet moments. Not loud, not urgent, but wrong. She stood at the edge of the village one evening, watching the tree line. The air carried a faint tension, like a breath held too long. Eldrik approached. "You've been coming here more," he said. Elowen nodded. "It's shifting." "The balance?" "Yes." Eldrik followed her gaze. "I don't see anything." "You won't," she said. "Not yet." He frowned. "Then what are we waiting for?" Elowen's voice stayed calm. For someone to make a mistake. That came sooner than she expected. 3 nights later. A shout broke the stillness. Then another. Eldrik was already moving when Elowen stepped outside. "What happened?" he called. A young man ran toward them, breath sharp, eyes wide. "It's Thomas," he said. "He went into the forest." Eldrik's expression hardened. "At night?" The man nodded. He said he'd prove they're nothing, that we've all gone soft." Elowen closed her eyes briefly. "There it is," she murmured. Eldrik cursed under his breath. "I'll bring him back." Elowen shook her head. "We will." They moved quickly. The forest welcomed them with silence. Too much silence. No wind. No movement. Even the ground felt still beneath their steps. Eldrik kept his hand on his blade. "This feels wrong." "It is," Elowen said. They followed Thomas's tracks. Easy to see. Careless. He had not hidden his path. He had walked in with noise, with arrogance, and now, no sound came back. They went deeper. The trees grew thicker. The light thinned. Then, they found him. Tomas stood in a clearing, frozen, eyes wide, breathing shallow. "What are you doing?" Eldrik snapped. "Move." Thomas did not respond. Elowen stepped forward. "Don't," she said quietly. Eldrik stopped. "What do you see?" she asked Thomas. His voice came out thin. "They're not wolves." Elowen's eyes narrowed. "I know." A shape moved at the edge of the clearing, then another. Not the pack. Something else. Eldrik saw it now. Too tall, too thin, moving wrong. "What is that?" he whispered. Elowen's voice dropped. "What comes when balance is pushed too far?" The shape stepped closer. More than one. Not solid. Not fully there. Like shadows that had learned to stand. Tomas trembled. I thought they were just animals." Elowen's gaze stayed fixed ahead. "They were never just anything." The air thickened. The shape circled slowly, not rushing, not striking. Watching. Waiting. Eldrik tightened his grip. "We fight?" Elowen shook her head. "No, that's what they want." Thomas swallowed hard. "Then what do we do?" Elowen took a step forward. Steady. Calm. "You listen." The shapes paused. Just slightly. Enough. Elowen spoke again. "You've been pulled here," she said, not called. The air shifted. One of the shapes leaned closer, its form flickering, unstable, hungry. Eldrik felt it. A pull. Subtle, but growing. "What are they doing?" he said through clenched teeth. Elowen did not look back. "They feed on imbalance, on fear, on disruption." Thomas shook. "I didn't mean—" "I know," Elowen said. "But meaning does not undo action." The shapes moved closer, the circle tightening. Eldrik stepped forward instinctively. Elowen raised her hand. "Hold." Then, a new sound cut through the clearing. Low. Controlled. A growl. The silver wolf stepped from the shadows, then another, then the pack. They did not rush. They did not scatter. They took position, between the shapes and the humans. The air shifted again. Balanced. Held. The shapes recoiled slightly. Not gone, but pushed. The silver wolf's gaze met Elowen's. A clear exchange passed. "You crossed too far." Elowen nodded once. "We bring him back." The wolf stepped forward. The pack moved with it. Not attacking. Pressing. Guiding. Forcing the shapes to retreat. The clearing opened. Space returned. The weight lifted slightly. "Now," Elowen said. Eldrik grabbed Thomas. "Move." They did not look back. They walked, then moved faster, then ran. Branches snapped behind them. The shapes did not follow fully. The wolves held them, contained them. By the time they reached the edge of the forest, the pressure broke. Air rushed back into their lungs. Sound returned. Life returned. Thomas collapsed to his knees. "I'm sorry," he gasped. "I didn't know." Eldrik stood over him. "You don't need to know everything," he said. "You need to respect it." Elowen turned. The silver wolf stood at the edge of the trees, watching, not angry, not soft, certain. Elowen met its gaze. "We'll hold our side," she said. The wolf remained still for a moment, then turned. The pack followed. Gone again. Eldrik exhaled slowly. "This is getting worse." Elowen nodded. "It's building." "For what?" Elowen's eyes stayed on the forest. "For a breaking point." Thomas looked up, shaken. "What happens when it breaks?" Elowen's voice was steady. Then everything chooses a side. The wind moved through the trees, low, restless. The land was no longer waiting. It was preparing. The village did not sleep easily after that night. Doors closed earlier. Fires burned longer. Voices stayed low. No one said it aloud, but they all felt it. Something was coming. Elowen moved through the quiet like she always had. Steady, watching, listening. But now, even she did not linger too long at the edge of things. Eldrik noticed. "You're preparing," he said one evening. Elowen nodded. "Yes." "For what?" Elowen met his gaze. "For when holding the balance is no longer enough." That answer stayed with him. It settled heavy. The next day, the sky dimmed too early. Clouds gathered without wind. The air grew thick. Still. Even the birds fell silent. Lisa stood beside Elowen. "They're quiet," she said. Elowen looked toward the forest. "Yes." "Is that bad?" Elowen's voice stayed calm. "It means something has already started." By nightfall, the first sign came, not from the forest, from the ground. A low tremor, subtle, but real. Eldrik felt it under his feet. "This isn't right." Elowen stepped outside. "No," she said. "It isn't." The tremor came again. Stronger. The earth shifted slightly. Cracks formed along the edge of the moor, dark lines cutting through the soil. From those cracks, a cold mist began to rise. Not like fog. Thicker. Heavier. Alive. Eldrik stepped back. "What is that?" Elowen's eyes hardened. "What's been building?" The mist spread slowly, crawling outward, touching the ground, clinging to it. Where it passed. Grass darkened. Frost formed again. Life pulled inward. Lysa grabbed Elowen's hand. "It feels wrong." Elowen squeezed gently. "Stay behind me." The mist reached the outer edge of the village. It then stopped, as if testing, as if waiting. And then, it moved again, this time. Faster. Eldrik drew his blade. "Inside!" he shouted. "Everyone inside!" People rushed, doors slammed, windows shut, but the mist did not care. It slid along the ground, pressed against walls, reached for openings, searching. Elowen stood firm. She stepped forward, toward it. Eldrik grabbed her arm. "Don't." Elowen pulled free. "If I don't, it comes in without resistance." The mist shifted, as if aware of her. It rose slightly, not high, just enough to face her. Elowen spoke. "You've come too far." The mist thickened, swirled, and then a shape formed within it, vague, unstable but present. A face without features, a form without edges. Eldrik felt it hit his chest. Heavy, cold. "What is that?" he said, voice tight. Elowen answered quietly. "What remains when balance is broken beyond repair?" The shape leaned closer. The air around them dropped in temperature. Frost crept across the ground again. Lisa shivered. Elowen did not move. "You were not meant to cross here," she said. The shape shifted. A sound came from it. Not a voice, but something close, fragmented, hungry. Eldrik took a step forward. "We end it now." Elowen raised her hand. "No." "Then what?" Elowen's gaze stayed locked. "We hold." The ground trembled again, stronger this time. The cracks widened. More mist poured out. Spreading faster now. No longer testing, advancing. Eldrik's voice rose. "We can't hold this." Elowen's tone stayed steady. "We don't hold it alone." Right on cue. A sound cut through the air, sharp, clear. A howl. Not distant, close. The silver wolf burst from the tree line, the pack behind it, fast, focused. They moved without hesitation. They did not slow. They did not circle. They went straight for the mist. The silver wolf stopped beside Elowin. Its presence surged, strong, balanced, ready. The pack spread outward, forming a line between the village and the advancing mist. Eldrik stared, their face in it. Elowin nodded. Together. The mist surged forward. The wolves did not retreat. They stepped into it. Their forms cut through the dark, not destroying it, breaking it, disrupting its spread. The shape within the mist twisted, unstable, resisting. The silver wolf moved first, straight toward the core. Elowin followed. Eldrik hesitated, then joined them. "What are we doing?" he shouted. Elowin answered, "Ending what started this." They pushed forward, step by step. The mist thickened, pressed against them. Cold, bit deep. Eldrik's breath grew short. "This is too much." Elowin's voice cut through. "Stay with me." The silver wolf reached the center. The shape recoiled, uncertain, for the first time. It faltered. Elowin stepped beside the wolf. She raised her hand slowly, not in force, in presence. "You do not belong here," she said again. The shape flickered, weaker, fragmented. The wolves tightened their line, holding the spread, containing it. Eldrik forced himself forward. "What do I do?" Elowin did not look at him. "You stand." He did. Not strong, not certain, but standing, and that mattered. The mist surged one last time, a final push, then it broke. Not in sound, not in light, but in absence. The shape collapsed. The mist thinned, pulled back, drawn into the cracks. The ground stilled. The cold lifted. The air cleared. Silence returned. Real silence. Eldrik dropped to one knee, breathing hard. "It's over?" Elowin lowered her hand. "For now." The silver wolf stood beside her, its gaze calm, steady, alive. The pack held their positions a moment longer. Then slowly, they relaxed, not gone, but no longer braced. Lysa ran forward. "It's gone," she said. Elowin placed a hand on her shoulder. "Yes." Eldrik stood slowly. "What was that?" Elowin looked at the ground where the mist had been, the breaking point. "And we stopped it?" Elowin's eyes shifted to the wolf. "No," she said. "We restored it." The silver wolf met her gaze. A quiet understanding passed. Then it turned. The pack followed. Back toward the forest. As they always did. Not leaving. Not staying. Holding. Eldrik watched them go, then looked at Elowin. "So this is it?" Elowin shook her head slightly. "No." "What's left?" Elowin's voice stayed calm. "The choice." Eldrik frowned. "What choice?" Elowin turned toward the village. "Whether we keep this, or break it again." The wind moved softly through the open land. No longer cold, no longer heavy. Alive. The balance had been restored, but not secured. That would take more than one night. It would take all of them. And this time, they understood. Morning came without wait. No tremor, no mist, no distant tension pressing against the land. For the first time in many days, the air felt clean, real. Eldrik stood at the ridge, looking out across the moor. The cracks in the earth had sealed. Frost had retreated. Grass pushed through again in small, stubborn patches. Behind him, the village stirred. Normal sounds returned. Footsteps, voices, work, life. Elowin joined him. You feel it?" she said. Eldrik nodded. "It's steady. For now," Elowin replied. He glanced at her. "You always say that?" Elowin gave a faint look. "Because it's always true." Lysa ran up beside them. "It's quiet," she said. Elowen rested a hand lightly on her shoulder. Yes. Lysa looked toward the forest. They're still there. Eldrik followed her gaze. You can tell? Lysa nodded. I can feel it. Elowen watched her carefully. Then you're learning. Days passed without incident. Then a week. Then 2. No signs of disturbance. No strange movement. No pressure building beneath the surface. The village began to breathe again. Not cautiously. Normally. People returned to the forest's edge without fear. They worked the land. Repaired what had been left undone. Even laughter returned. Soft at first. Then stronger. Eldrik noticed something else. The villagers had changed. Not loudly, not openly, but in the way they moved, the way they paused, the way they listened before acting. He found Elowen one evening near her doorway. It's different, he said. Elowen nodded. They've seen enough. To understand? Elowen looked at him. To begin understanding. Eldrik leaned against the stone wall. And you? Elowen's gaze drifted to the horizon. I've been waiting a long time for this. For what? Elowen smiled faintly. For people to choose without being forced. That night, a single howl rose from the forest. Low, clear, not a warning, not a call to hunt, a signal. Eldrik stepped outside. Elowen was already there. They're still watching, he said. Yes. But not like before. No. Eldrik crossed his arms. What happens now? Elowen answered simply. Now we live. He let that settle. And if something comes again? Elowen's voice stayed steady. Then we meet it. Not with fear. Not with force alone. But with understanding. Time moved forward. Seasons shifted. Spring gave way to summer. The land grew full. Green. Alive. The forest no longer felt like a boundary. It felt like part of something shared. Lysa grew stronger. Faster. More aware. She spent more time near the edge of the trees. Listening. Not wandering. Not crossing. Understanding the line. Eldrik watched her one afternoon. She's different, he said. Elowen stood beside him. Yes. Is that safe? Elowen considered. It depends on what she chooses. One evening, as the sun dipped low, Lysa stood at the tree line. Still. Focused. Eldrik started to call her back. But Elowen stopped him. Wait. From the shadows, the silver wolf emerged. Not alone. The pack followed. Calm. Steady. Lysa did not move. The wolf approached. Stopped a short distance away. The two simply stood there, watching each other. Eldrik held his breath. Elowen remained still. Lysa took a small step forward, then stopped, respecting the space. The wolf lowered its head slightly, not submission, recognition. Lysa mirrored the motion. The moment held. Quiet. Balanced. Then, the wolf turned. The pack followed, back into the forest. Lysa exhaled slowly, then walked back. Eldrik looked at Elowen. What was that? Elowen's voice was soft. The future. That night the village slept without fear. Not because nothing could happen, but because they understood what to do if it did. Elowen sat by her fire, the same place, the same quiet. But something had changed. Not outside. Inside. She looked toward the door, toward the dark beyond, and spoke softly. We held it. Far in the forest, a faint howl answered. Steady. Enduring. Not a promise. Not a warning. A continuation. The story did not end with a fight, or a loss, or a single victory. It settled into something stronger, something lasting, a balance chosen, a line understood, a connection kept. And for the first time in a long while, it was enough. Years did not rush. They moved as they always had. Slow, steady, certain. The village grew. Not larger, stronger. People came and stayed. Others passed through and carried stories with them. Not stories of fear, but of something harder to explain. A place where the forest watched back. Where the land answered. Where choices mattered. Ilawan grew older. Her steps slowed. Her hands, once firm without effort, now carried the weight of time, but her eyes remained clear. Watching, always watching. Eldrik had taken more upon himself. Not as a ruler, not as a guard, as a keeper. He walked the ridge each morning, listened before he spoke, acted only when needed. The village followed his example. Lisa had grown, no longer the fragile child pulled from the storm. She moved with quiet awareness. She understood the line without being told, and more than that, she felt it. One evening, she stood beside Elowan at the edge of the forest. "You knew this would happen," Lisa said. Elowan's voice carried age, but not weakness. "I hoped it would." Lisa looked toward the trees. "I can hear them more clearly now." Elowan nodded. "Then you must also hear yourself." Lisa frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Elowan turned her gaze to her. "If you lose that, you lose everything." Lisa absorbed that. Slowly. "I won't," she said. Elowan gave a faint smile. "No one plans to." The wind moved softly, carrying the scent of the forest. Alive, familiar. That night the silver wolf returned. Not with the full pack. Alone. It stepped into the open without hesitation. Eldrik saw it first. He did not reach for his blade. He called for Elowan. She came, slower now, leaning slightly on a carved staff. Lisa followed. The three of them stood together as the wolf approached. Its form had not weakened. Time did not touch it the same way. Its eyes remained steady, ancient, present. Elowan met its gaze. "You've come," she said. The presence reached her. Clear. "We remain." Elowan nodded. "So do we." The wolf's gaze shifted to Lisa, measured, aware. Lisa held it. Did not step back. Did not step forward. Balanced. Elowan watched the exchange closely, then spoke. "She understands." The wolf remained still. Then, it lowered its head slightly, the same motion as before. Recognition. Given. Accepted. Eldrik exhaled slowly. "This is passing on," he said. Elowan nodded. "Yes." Lisa glanced at her. "You're saying I—" Elowan raised a hand gently. "I'm saying you're ready to choose." Lisa looked back at the wolf, at the forest, at the land that had become part of her. "I already have," she said. The wolf held her gaze a moment longer, then turned, and walked back into the trees. Not alone. Never alone. Elowan watched it go, her breath slow, even. Eldrik stepped closer. "You've done enough," he said quietly. Elowan shook her head. "It was never about doing." "Then what?" Elowan's eyes stayed on the forest, knowing when to step aside. Time passed again. Not in days, in seasons. Elowan no longer walked the ridge. She sat more often, spoke less. But when she did, people listened. One evening, as the sky turned gold, Lisa sat beside her. "It's quiet," Lisa said. Elowan nodded. "It should be." Lisa hesitated. "Will it stay that way?" Elowan's voice was soft. "No." Lisa looked at her. "Then how do we keep it?" Elowan placed a hand over hers. "We don't keep it," she said. "We choose it. Every time." Lisa held that, took it in fully. "I will," she said. Elowan smiled faintly. "I know." That night the village slept as it always had. No fear, no unrest, just life. And in her home, by the quiet fire, Elowen rested, her breathing slow, her presence calm. Lisa sat nearby. Eldrik stood at the doorway. Neither spoke. They did not need to. Elowen's eyes opened one last time. She looked at Lysa, and then at Eldrik, then toward the door, toward a forest. A soft breath left her. "We held it," she said. And then she was still. The silence that followed was not empty. It was full. Lysa closed her eyes briefly, then stood. Eldrik lowered his head. Neither wept loudly. They understood. Outside, the wind moved gently. Through the trees, across the land. A single howl rose from the forest. Low, steady, not mourning, not calling, acknowledging. Lisa stepped outside, stood where Elowen had stood so many times before. She looked toward the forest and spoke quietly. "We still do." The silver wolf appeared at the edge of the trees, watching, present. The pack behind it, unseen. But there, Lisa stood firm, not as a child, not as a replacement, as herself. The line remained, the balance held, not because it was given, but because it was chosen again and again. The years that followed did not bring silence. They brought tests, not loud, not destructive. Small ones, a hunter stepping too far, a traveler ignoring warnings, a moment of fear turning into the wrong choice. Each time, the balance shifted, and each time it was brought back. Not by force alone, by understanding. Lisa stood at the center of it now. Not as Elowen, not as something replacing her, but as someone who had learned and chosen, again and again. One final night came. Clear sky, no wind, still air, the kind that made everything feel too quiet. Lisa stood at the ridge, Eldrik beside her. "You feel it?" he asked. Lisa nodded. "Yes. But this time it's different." "How?" Lisa's eyes stayed on the forest. "It's not breaking. It's deciding." The ground did not tremble. The air did not darken. Instead, the forest opened. The silver wolf stepped forward. Not alone. The entire pack followed, but they did not stop at the edge. For the first time, they crossed it. Eldrik stiffened. "This has never happened." Lisa did not move. "I know." The wolves approached slowly, not threatening, not cautious, certain. The silver wolf stopped in front of her, closer than ever before. No barrier now, no line between them, only space, shared. The presence came, clearer than it had ever been, stronger, complete. The time has come. Lisa's breath slowed. "For what?" she asked softly. A pause. Then, "To choose fully." Eldrik glanced at her. "What is it saying?" Lysa did not look away. "It's asking if we remain or separate." Eldrik frowned. "I don't understand." Lisa did. If the wolves stayed as watchers, the balance would continue as it had, but distant, separate. If they crossed fully, if both sides accepted it, then the balance would become something else. Shared completely. No barrier, no division, only trust and risk. Lisa took a step forward. Eldrik grabbed her arm. "Think carefully." Lysa nodded. "I am." She looked at the wolf, at the pack, at the land, then at the village behind her. All of it connected, all of it fragile, all of it real. "We don't control this," she said. The presence responded. "No, we don't own it. No, we live in it." "Yes." Lisa exhaled slowly, then made her choice. "We share it," she said. Silence followed. Deep, complete. Then the wolf stepped forward, crossing the final space, close enough to touch. But it did not touch. when it simply stood beside her. Equal. The pack moved forward, too, spreading. Not into the village, through the land. Among it. Part of it. Eldrik lowered his hand slowly. They're not crossing as invaders, he said. Lisa nodded. They're crossing as part of it. The wind moved. Soft. Alive. Not separate anymore. Connected. The forest and the village no longer faced each other. They existed together. Not perfectly. Not without risk. But honestly. The silver wolf looked at Lisa one last time, then turned. Walking through the land. Not away. Not leaving. Present. The pack followed. No longer hidden. No longer distant. Lisa stood still, taking it in. Eldrik stepped beside her. This is the end, he said. Lisa shook her head slightly. No. She looked at him. It's the beginning we were supposed to reach. Eldrik let out a slow breath, then nodded. I see it now. The sun rose slowly, light spreading across the land, touching forest, touching stone, touching both. Equally. Lisa stood where Elowyn once had, but she was not repeating her. She was continuing what had been chosen, and this time, there was no fear in the quiet, no uncertainty in the stillness. Only something steady, something earned. The balance was no longer something held at the edge. It lived within everything, and for the first time, it did not feel fragile. It felt whole.